We get to live. We are live. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Welcome back to MUFC versus everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Built by you guys, powered by you guys, just made and grown by you guys. I am your host, Sean, and I'm just glad to be back with our first match reaction of the season as United pick up all 3 points at home in the season opener against Fulham. Hit that like button if you're buzzing about 3 points. Subscribe to the channel if you're buzzing about Zirkzee's debut goal. Let's get stuck in. Danny B already getting involved. Good performance. Could have been 3 or 4. We took our foot off the gas in the second half, I felt. And Mizraoui, Zirkzee slab, top performance today. Yeah, we're on all of it, you guys. A lot of really great performances all around today. I like what I saw from a lot of people. We're going to go in a little bit of specific details. I'm not going to go too deep in some of my main points. That'll be on tomorrow's video when I do my 3 thoughts like I usually do for the matches. But guys, we're top of the league. I'm just joking. I'm not getting gassed up too bad. Zirkzee is top scorer in the Premier League. All right, sorry. Was that over the top? I'm sorry. 21 is coming. Sorry, was that loud? Sorry about that. If you can't tell, I am buzzing. 21 is coming. I have zero shame. Zirkzee's top scorer in the league. We are top of the league. Take a photo of it, of the table right now if you want, and just frame it. I might do just that. But what a match, guys. Let's get stuck in. Interesting starting 11 to start things off right. No striker. We were kind of going back and forth about what we thought it was going to look like. But looks like Ten Hag decided maybe Zirkzee wasn't fit to start. Maybe he was ready just to come onto the sub, which he did. And it turned out nicely for us. Bruno up top, as we saw in that Community Shield a little bit. Mount in behind him. It's going to be a big season for Mount. We might do a video on that, similar to like the one we did for Rashford. But let me know if that's something you'd like to explore a little bit. No Jadon Sancho in the squad. Ten Hag did touch upon that after the fact, and he said, he's just not quite fit. Just with you only have 20 spaces, it's hard to make a decision, and they had to make a decision. But he did say, it's not forever. Everybody's going to get chances. It just didn't work out. Sancho is not. I think the writing's on the wall with Sancho. You don't have a player on that much money per week. You don't have a player that you paid that much for, and you don't have a player with the kind of history that Sancho has had at this club for the last year or so, and then not even include him in the matchday squad. So I think the writing's on the wall. I think you're going to see for logistical purposes, probably maybe a swap with Ugarte. I think there's a chance that could be a loan with an obligation to buy for both clubs, just with FFP and whatnot. But we'll see. But I do think the writing is on the wall with Sancho. Let me know your thoughts on that. Garnacho on the bench, obviously. Remember, we did talk about earlier that Garnacho has tended to look really good when he's come on as a sub. Obviously, he looks good no matter when he plays, but he did in his first season have really good substitute goal stats. And then when he came on in the Shield at the weekend, he was up for it. He grabbed that goal. He looked dangerous every time he came on. That's two derbies in a row for Garnacho that he's made £100 million Guardiola look like a mug. Just keep that in mind, everybody. Danny B says a loan swap with obligation will work. Yeah, and I think that the swaps are rare because you have to show on paper that, for FFP that you received money. It's not as easy just to say like, oh, nothing happened. I think we're going to want to show that we received some money on paper. But I think for all intents and purposes, it's going to be a loan swap with an obligation. Now, it's just a matter, again, with Ugarte, especially of negotiating that fee down. But it does look like the writing's on the wall with Sancho. Rashford started on the left. So remember, we were talking about that a little bit in the match preview to see, what we thought was going to be. Was he going to start? Was he not going to start? I actually put a poll up on Twitter this morning just asking people where they thought Rashford was going to start today, on the left as a striker or on the bench. So the end of that result, that poll was 60% said striker was for Rashford today. 30% said he would be starting on the bench, and only 10% said that he was going to start on the wing. So kind of maybe that was more people telling like where they would want him to start as opposed to where they thought he would. It's always hard to toe that line, right? Where we think, someone's going to start versus where we want them to start. It's like playing poker. You kind of have to think what the other person's going to do. I was a couple seconds late. I had to go get my water. I forgot it downstairs because I'm going to need it today because my voice is hoarse. Danny, I was just going to ask you that. Danny says, I started Ahmad in my fantasy, Sean. I didn't see how many fantasy points that he got today. How did you do overall? Did you have, was he the only United player you had? Who else did you have? Let me know. I thought we looked really good. As Danny says, good performance. We were getting the ball, especially in that first half. I think the first half we were getting the ball in the really advanced positions, just lacked that clinical edge, which is going to happen when there's not a number 9. I thought Bruno looked a little rusty with his passing, with his finishing. And then Garnacho, too, when he came on in the second half, thought he looked a little bit rusty. Obviously, he had that golden chance, and again, we have to keep it 100. If we're going to criticize Rashford for these sitters, we do have to criticize Garnacho. I'm not going to go in on either of them too hard. I'll probably go in on Rashford a little harsher just because he had all preseason, and Garnacho hasn't had a whole preseason. But that was a really good chance to put the game away, like just put the nail in the coffin there. It's fine. He's young. Like we've said many times, the one consistent thing you're going to get with youngsters is inconsistency. It is his third kind of full season, though, so we're going to want to see him kind of really take advantage of those chances. But I do like that Garnacho's got that instinct to just get, and we've seen it many, many times. He doesn't stop. He doesn't wait. He just keeps getting forward. He had a brilliant goal. I forget what it was. I think it was in Ten Hag's first season where we're getting into the final third. The ball kind of fizz into the opposition area, and Garnacho just kept following it. He didn't give up on the play, and they got a goal out of it. And I think that's what we like to see from Garnacho. So I would like to see from everybody. Danny says, I just have Ahmad, Robinson, Smith Rowe on my bench. Yeah, Smith Rowe, I mean, he's getting involved. I'm not too worried about Smith Rowe. Like I said, the one player that I probably would have been the most worried about was Iwobi, and Iwobi, we kind of kept him quiet. I didn't really notice him a whole lot, so it is what it is. It could be a new look Fulham in terms of just overall. They're making some signings. I know they still probably need a midfielder in that 6 role, so maybe they still want to come back for McTominay after that loss. But we will see. If anything, what this does is maybe put us in a little better position as far as Ugarte's, because now, had we lost this match, PSG might have thought maybe, okay, they need him more because they need a 6. We can hold out. But now we're like, we're good. Like, if you guys want to keep playing, dig your heels in, we're good. We'll go get someone else. You guys can sit here and suffer with FFP, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Again, I thought we were playing really good football. It seemed to just break down in the final third without that striker who's to get on the end of those balls in those good positions, without someone with that clinical finishing to them. Again, Bruno a little rusty, Garnacho a little rusty, Rashford not getting as involved as I would have liked, at least in the final third. He was getting some really good runs in the final third, but nothing that I would get too upset about right now. One person that did stand out to me, too, but the one to start with, Casemiro. I thought Casemiro looked great. I know a lot of us thought, at least I thought he looked really good at Community Shield. He had a really good looking preseason. I said, let's not read too much into it. Preseason, a lot of people have given up on Casemiro, and even I've said, Casemiro, we probably still need to move him on. But right now, if I had to, I would probably look to move on McTominay and Eriksen, bring in Ugarte, maybe a Sander Berge, and have depth. 2 6s, 2 players who can play in that pivot, 2 10s, and Mount and Mainu, and like that, I would be fine, because Casemiro has shown that maybe he's not going to be that last line of defense in midfield anymore. He doesn't have the legs, but what he's offered today, like he looked great. Both of our chances in the first half, so we created 2 chances in the first half, and they were both created by him. And I've said it before, as an 8, getting into the final third, getting into those advanced positions, Casemiro has looked really, really good. He's got an eye for a pass. He's got a really good link up. I think that he brings the kind of experience and class that we saw like Varane did on our defense. He brings that into that final third alongside Bruno. And so I think that there's nothing wrong with that. It's going to be hard to sell him anyway. I'm not saying I wouldn't sell him if somebody made a big offer, but I'm saying that I'm not worried about Casemiro right now. He looks slim. He looks good. He looks like he's not going to ground stupidly. He's making good passes, good decisions, getting more involved, and he still looks dangerous on those free kicks. I predicted 3-2. That didn't happen. We've said many earlier that all these matches have been won by like 1-goal margins, which again happened today. So it is what it is. But I've said that I was predicting Casemiro to maybe get a goal on a free kick, and he looked like he could have had a couple shots at that today. And so it's almost like that's become his specialty a little bit. Dana B says, in away games, we could always play Ugarte, Casemiro together. Yeah, I think, and that's the beauty. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, is having those options at depth. We haven't had that in so long. So the other player I thought was a clear standout, Nusayr Mazraoui. I mean, what a debut for Mazraoui. He was superb. And I think that it was easy to see when he was involved, when he was doing stuff. But I think, and I mentioned this, I made this comment at the bar. Big up Loaded Dice Brewery, by the way, and Detroit Red Devils. Hung out with those guys today to watch the match. Always love it. Hey, and special thanks to Elizabeth for making that fire banana cake with that frosting. That thing was on point. I really enjoyed that. Very, very good. So thank you guys. But yes, big up Loaded Dice. Big up Detroit Red Devils. It was rocking today. There were dozens and dozens of people. Next time, once I get a hang of YouTube Shorts, I'll take some videos and post those later on. Like I said, I'm old. I don't do technology. So I was just telling my guy, the new car we got has like a touchscreen. And I'm like, this is going to be like giving an iPad to my 90-year-old grandparents. I'm going to use it to play like solitaire. And that's pretty much it. It's wasted on me. So it is what it is. But Mazraoui was superb. 92% pass accuracy. 100% of his tackles were won. 2 clearances. 3 interceptions. He won all of his ground duels and all but just one of his aerial duels. Like, he quietly had a superb performance. It was like, and the comment I made was, it was like a prime Michael Carrick performance, but at right back. Like one of those performances from a holding midfielder where they do everything like perfectly, but you don't really notice it because they're just doing what needs to be done, and they're doing it simply, they're doing it cleanly, and they're just executing. And he just did that. He was good in the link up. He was good breaking up play. He was good moving he completed a lot of passes into the final third. I think it was like 7 passes in the final third. The guy was perfect. And I think everyone out there who was complaining that we were selling Wan-Bissaka can probably, hold that today. And I'm not trying to turn it into this thing of Wan-Bissaka versus Mazraoui. I'm not even trying to point it out. I'm just saying people were so quick to react to that decision before even seeing Mazraoui play, because these people never watched him at Ajax. These people never watched him at Bayern Munich. The same way people like Graham Souness and Tim Sherwood, who can F off, never watched De Ligt play at Bayern Munich, even though Liverpool wanted De Ligt 3 or 4 years ago and no one had anything to say then. Like, if you don't watch the Bundesliga, you don't watch the Eredivisie, you don't watch the Belgian, that's fine. No one's asking, but don't make a judgment on a player that you've never seen play other than maybe once or twice in the Champions League. Come on. It's okay if you don't watch it. Not everyone has the time or has the interest. Not everyone, like I've said, I watch way more football than a normal person should. I should probably get assessed by a professional at some point. Someone needs to test me because there's something wrong with me. Danny B says some player always said he was top right back in Europe. Yeah, Mazraoui, like, wow. Like, it was like, I only have the words. Like, it was just a perfect performance from him. I couldn't have asked him to do anything other than what he did today. He came back and made that brilliant recovery tackle in our area too, like on the left back slot of our box as well, to break up that play at one point in the first half. Like, he was perfect. Speaking of debuts, what about Joshua Zirkzee though? What about that debut goal from Joshua Zirkzee though? Even before the goal, the guy was getting involved in the buildup, like we've talked about, that he's good at. If you go and watch that video I did of him a while back, that's the way he plays. He's very good with the ball at his feet. He's very good at linking up, one touch, quick passing. He's very, very, very good at that. And he was getting involved. He was doing that. It wasn't just that he was a focal point, but you could see he knew when to move up higher a little bit. He knew when to drop deep. He even tracked back deep in our own half to help kind of defend as well. And like, wow. And this isn't me saying Højlund's bad. It's just, how great is it to have a pair of strikers who are, young but so promising, clearly talented, but who just, and both offer something a little different as well. Like, I'm excited. I feel very confident in that regard. And what a debut goal. Just Spartan kicking that ball into the far corner, that pass in from Garnacho. Garnacho gets an assist. Zirkzee gets his debut goal. And mean, he gets, oh, sorry, my computer's messing up. Debut goal late in the match to win his debut season opener at Old Trafford in front of the Stretford end. I mean, come on. You couldn't write this stuff. Like, that's amazing. As far as our overall game goes, again, I thought we looked really, really good, especially in possession. Other than a few such sloppy, kind of low percentage lob passes, it's still sometimes we have a tendency to kind of break down the play when we're in these triangles when it comes as one person, and instead of kind of keeping the ball on the ground and playing that safe high percentage pass, we'll go for that little lob, that dink over the top. You know, we're kind of used to looking for Rashford or something on those runs, and it's got to be really perfect, you know. And unfortunately, it didn't quite work out every time for us. So that's going to happen, but it's just the only other thing. I mean, I'm not going to get too nitpicky about it, honestly. I mean, were we worried? Were you even worried at all when we lost possession? I mean, we spoke ahead of in the match preview about the 4-2-4 defensive shape, this counter press, this sideline press, that hexagon, right? And that's what happens. I mean, we were cutting off passing lanes. We were pressing Fulham really well. We had 17 interceptions. I think they had like 9 or 10. A very, very good defensive showing from us. I was probably getting annoying when at the bar because I could not stop going on about how good we looked defensively, especially with that shape. We saw it in preseason. We saw it against it. We even saw a little bit late last season. We're looking very good. And I think that not only Ten Hag gets credit for that as well, but I think Ruud does too. A lot of people think that, you know, Ruud's a striker. He's going to be this attacking manager. No, Ruud's been lauded as this very defensive manager. And I spoke about it in my deep dive video of him as a manager. He sets up his defenses very compact, very hard to break down. And then you've got that coupled with Ten Hag's kind of counter pressing and quick transition. It's looking really nice. And then Rene Hockey's still here too, doing his thing. I was very excited. The 4-2-4 was executed nearly to perfection today, other than kind of late in the second half, as Danny says, we kind of slowed down a little bit. I think that was just some tired legs. Some players were getting a little tired. Mainu especially. Casemiro was looking a little gassed towards the end. And it did start breaking down a little bit just as legs got tired and Fulham were bring on subs. But then, and so like sorry, I don't want to jump ahead. Yeah, so in the second half, our possession dropped by almost 15%. We were at like 60 some odd percent, like 68 or something percent in the first half, and it dropped. No, it was 61% in the first half. We dropped to like 48% in the second half. Overall, it was like 55%. But again, our players are getting gassed. Mainu was tired. Casemiro was tired. And that's going to happen. I think the biggest difference, though, that when it does happen is now we have depth. I know we still need a midfielder, but to be able to start Ahmad and then sub him off or sub off Rashford and then bring on Garnacho, or like bring off Mason Mount, bring off Joshua Zirkzee, or vice versa, bring off Zirkzee and bring on Mason Mount to kind of help out in that final third area. Such a big difference in depth when it comes to the last couple seasons. And I think that's something I'm really excited about. I'm very excited about the 4-2-4. I'm very excited about the added depth we're getting this year. I think it's really going to help because it's been needed for a while. And that depth could even still improve if we bring in a midfielder and a left back, and then some of these players are going to get fit again. I mean, we brought on Matthijs de Ligt as a sub. Like, that's insane that we were able to do that today. So Danny says we need mid or two and left back. Yeah, we need them. How realistic it's going to be to get two midfielders. Like I said, I think we still have, if we sold McTominay and sold Eriksen, I would want us to get two midfielders. It's probably like a Sanderberga and probably Ugarte. We do need a left back. We can't plan for Luke Shaw. We just can't. We're literally in the same exact situation we were in this time last year with left backs. No fit left backs to start. Playing Dallo at left back. At least we're not playing Amrabat at left back. And that's not a dig on Amrabat. That's just where we were last season. So I think at this point, you have to move forward from Shaw. You just have to. He'll let him go to West Ham or like Aston Villa or something, or Newcastle probably. Even I think he could probably do a really good job at Newcastle. And let him just do that. That's all we need. Danny B says 1 mid, 1 left back is essential. We can use Collier. Yeah, we could use Collier. Collier That's a good point. We could save a lot of money. We don't need to do that. I think it's a matter of priorities. Do we prioritize more bodies in midfield? Do I prioritize left back and just say, you know what, we can't count on Shaw? If we throw more money at Ferdy, which I would love us to do, and just that's our left back, and then we rotate. I mean, City can rotate, Liverpool can rotate. There's no reason we can't have solid players. Everybody's going to get to play. We're going to have more than 60 matches. We've got more matches in Europa League now because of the new changes to the format. Carabao Cup, FA Cup, like we're going to have matches. We can't have more seasons now where players like Bruno are playing like 70 matches and without rest. We just can't do that. Modern football, you can't do that anymore. So there's nothing wrong. And I think that players need to start realizing that too. If you have players, and it's nothing wrong with players wanting to start a match, just fight for it. The better player will play. The players pick the team, right? So again, depth could still get better. We brought in De Ligt as a sub. These are good problems for a manager to have. These are the good kind of headaches, right? Like, oh, do I start De Ligt? That's a good problem. He's going to have a problem where he's like, do I start Yoro or De Ligt? Do I start Yoro or Licha? Do I start Zirkzee or Højlund? Or maybe I start them together. And Mounts on the bench or this or that. Like, these are good problems to have. And so I'm really happy with what I saw today. And guys, tell me you saw my boy Licha absolute body Adama Traore. Tell me you saw that. My butcher doing the Lord's work out here against that hulked up version of Anthony Elanga. Come on. Like, there's no reason any footballer should be as big as Adama Traore. These guys' arms are insane. Like, there's no reason for that. But Licha straight up bodied that fool, and I was freaking here for it when it happened, man. And again, what about Zirkzee grabbing that debut goal in front of the Stretford end? I said it to the guys at Loaded Dice, but I honestly feel, and I think Danny B said it earlier, we could have had 1, 2, maybe even 3 more goals, I think, had Zirkzee started that match. Now, whether or not he was fit, I mean, that it is what it is now. It's done and dusted. Ten Hag didn't think maybe he had it in the start. It is what it is. But he came on, looked hungry, getting involved on and off the ball, grabbed that goal and was in the perfect position to do it, got in front of his defender, stuck that foot out, Spartan kicked it into the bottom corner. Boom, 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 1-0. I love it. I just feel like had he started, he could have gotten on the end of some of those earlier chances we created, and we could have seen a completely different scoreline. But it is what it is. I'm not going to pull threads. I'm not going to complain too much and be pedantic about stuff like that. I did see a stat, though. Apparently, so now Zirkzee, Van Persie, and Ruud van Nistelrooy, so our 3 Dutch strikers that we've had, apparently all 3 of those scored against Fulham in their respective home debuts. I saw that on Twitter. I think it was United who put it out, but I thought that was an insane stat. Danny B says, Sean, check out the Leach interview on Sky Sports after the game. Future captain. He also basically says to Carragher, who can't play in the Prem Classic. I will check that out when I'm done. I'll be watching the match again. I'll be checking around for some of these interviews and things. Obviously, I don't have BBC. I don't have Sky Sports. I don't get a lot of that, but I will go find those on interview on YouTube. Yeah, Jamie, at least I will say this about Jamie Carragher. He spouts a lot of nonsense, but he did kind of admit that he was wrong about Leach. And now, if only we could get someone like Graham Souness to admit that he's wrong, or Luckhurst, or the Telegraph. The Telegraph, literally, as I was looking to see who was man of the match, I saw a headline from the Telegraph. They're like, Ten Hag's subs save him or something, or save it. Ten Hag's job saved by late subs or something. It was the most ridiculous headline I've ever seen. Like, come on. We, again, just like City, yeah, we didn't finish the chances that we had, and that's down to poor finishing. But to sum up a whole manager's tactical performance in a given match based on whether or not the attackers can put away some of the chances, that's just lazy journalism. It's either lazy journalism or it's complete lack of ball knowledge. So take your pick on that one. We need to give Maguire credit today. I thought Maguire was very, very good. He was doing the simple things well. He went on that mad walkabout late in the second half. He pulled, I didn't know who it was for a second there, who was carrying the ball literally all the way up the touchline into the final third. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Maguire. And then it didn't look like any of his teammates knew what to do, because they're like, why is Maguire way up here with the ball? But I don't care, man. Maguire, I've said it before, he's not a bad defender at all. He just doesn't suit the system. Danny B says Slab was man of the match, to be honest. But Maguire, like the only time I got worried is when Fulham had that 2-on-1 and the counterattack. But Maguire, again, this is why I give him mad credit for not getting sucked in, not making any throws, just patient, jockey, and just stuck in his foot when the timing is right and broke that play up. And that was a potentially match-saving tackle from him. And he needs his flowers for that. That was a good play from him. And he's not a fast guy. He's got 2 fast attackers coming at him, and he just did what he needed to do, and he did it well. And I think that needs to be talked about. Hi, Nick. How are you, my friend? How are you? Are you buzzing about 3 points? Are you buzzing about the performance? Are you buzzing about Zirkzee getting his debut? Let me know. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't yet, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new. Again, give Maguire credit for stopping that 2-on-1. I would have liked to see us take care of the ball a little better in those dying minutes when we're trying to see out that lead. We've struggled with that for years. We just, and the thing I always say when in those situations, whether you're in the last 5 minutes of regular time, you're in stoppage time, you've got a 1-goal lead. Just, I've said it many times, and I'll say it again: make it boring. I don't care what you do. Pass it in the horseshoe pattern. Pass it back to Onana. Take it to the corner flag. There's less than 3 minutes of stoppage time. We're only 1 minute into stoppage time today, and I'm already yelling at the TV. Take it to the corner flag. Make it boring. I don't care. If you can get into those moments where the opposition is trying to press, is trying to win the ball, is taking a little more risk, and you can keep the ball on the ground, you can take care of possession, you can play smart passes that frustrate them and just kill the clock, you'll be better at that in any other situation, not just in those last few minutes. And so that's what I want to see from us in those moments. Take care of the ball in the final minutes when we're seeing out a lead to really just secure those points. Nick says, I was expecting 3 points. I predicted 3-2, but ended up winning. Yeah, I predicted 3-2 as well. I think I was banking on maybe Zirkzee starting, but obviously that didn't happen. I think I was probably banking on Garnacho starting and Bruno maybe not being as sloppy with his finishing. And again, I'm not trying to be pedantic about that. I think that both players are still coming back. They've only had like 1 match preseason, really. So I'm not going to be too upset about it. Bruno is going to be fine. We know Garnacho is going to be fine. So he got the assist. We're good. Who got man of the match? Did anyone see who got man of the match? I know. So on FootMob has Onana as man of the match, which is interesting because he only had 2 saves to make, and his long balls were not great today. He played that one straight out of touch. I don't know what he was thinking there. Danny V says Zirkzee on Sky. Of course, I think that Sky or the English media in general will tend to give it to who scores the goals, which I get to a certain extent. SofaScore had Casemiro as the highest rated player of the match. I think for me, if I had to guess right now, for me, it would be Casemiro will be my man of the match. Just for what he did in that first half, especially like created our 2 chances in the first half. He was playing great balls. I think it would be, you could almost argue for him or Mazraoui personally, but maybe that's just because I'm boring and I appreciate what players like that are doing, even when they're not scoring the goals or making saves or whatnot. But yeah, Danny says Slab, Harry Maguire. Yeah, Maguire quietly had a very good game. Like I said, I mean, that tackle he made was, again, that 2-on-1 was literally potentially game saving. So you could pretty much throw it up. Maybe if there are more people, I'd probably do a poll. Maybe I'll go do a poll on Twitter after this. Do you want me to do a poll? I mean, there's only a couple of you here, so it doesn't really matter. But you let me know who your man of the match is. Danny says Slab or Mazraoui. I'm going to give it to Casemiro just because I think that he had a good match. But that is going to do it for me today. I am starving. I'm going to get some more water. Got to go walk these dogs who were here by themselves for 4 hours while I was watching this match. So I'm pumped. My voice is so sore. I probably smell bad because I literally don't even sit down when I'm like hot. My phone literally flew out of my back pocket when we scored that goal. I was jumping up and down, getting crazy. It was insane. But let me know who your man of the match was. Let me know what your thoughts are on the match if you're not able to keep this live. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, go check me out on Twitter, MUFC versus everybody. I will be back tomorrow mid-morning, probably with my 3 thoughts on the match. as we take another day to kind of de-escalate and decompress. So we'll get a more in-depth look at some of my main points from the match, my main takeaways, and my 3 thoughts, and probably talk a little bit of transfer news as well. I know there's some Ugarte stuff today and things like that. So thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Nick. Buzzing about the 3 points. Top of the league, Zirkzee's top scorer. And like I said, 21 is coming. So good talking to you guys. Good 3 points. I will see you guys tomorrow for 3 thoughts. And enjoy the rest of your night. Take it easy.